go for it with a kid who was having real mental health issues, that's when clubs go, that's it. How many more times do we offer and then whack, you get it in the face every time? So that's what happens. Right? That's why.
I think that's an extreme example.
That's why.
Journos wouldn't normally do that. I don't know whether that happens, but that doesn't normally happen.
Get a set on certain people and go, why should we help them? We can do our own thing. And the players more and more say, don't even want to do it at the footy club. Now they're doing it on Instagram. They're all doing it at home. Yeah, every organisation at the moment is living off the players' Instagrams, but they're happy to do it because it's in their own backyard. It's a whole new world.
Now it is time for Ross the Boss.
Thanks, Caro. And it's a lot of pressure on AFL senior coaches as well, Ross. And we're going to talk about how to navigate the AFL media as a senior coach. And before I get to you and how you'd navigate and how you did navigate, let's take a look at some big moments from 3 premiership senior coaches.
Just the week you've had, was it a tough one leading in?
They're all tough.
Any regrets at all about what happened?
Sorry, do you need to get a confession or something?
Last question.
I murdered someone?
No, not at all. I'm just saying thank you. And their fitness tonight was a big edge, do you think?
Is that a question or you make a statement?
It was a question.
I'm sorry, Mark. What's the question?
You're asking some foolish questions, Matt. And I don't even want to respond to it, to be fair.
You can't say that, mate. I can say that about your journalism. You play AFL footy, mate, you've got to be tough.
Lucky didn't wear a left hook, I reckon. Ask that question again, good luck.
Next question. Next question. Thanks, Tony. Oh, come on. Oh, come on, mate.
Ross, it can be a pretty lonely place at times.
Look, I thought those guys were perfect.
But you've, in Ross the Boss, you've got Ross's rules in terms of how to navigate the media. Point 1.
Well, guiding principles, really, and do as I say, not as I do, obviously. But you try to get it right. But in context, you might do 150 media appearances for the year. So always prepare. So Luke Morfess was a media manager at Fremantle. He would sit me down 10, 15 minutes before, go through what's on the agenda, what are the likely questions, what are the difficult, and actually have a pretend presser at times. And then, but the hottest one's post-game. A close loss, a big moment, a big indiscretion maybe, and it's to get to you. And Mick's was post-game at Carlton when he was under a lot of pressure. You don't want to walk in fired up because we all knew Mark Stevens was hunting Mick, wasn't he? So he had scores on the board, Mick, but if he had gone in with the preparation and the calmness, it would have been a better outcome.
And that's where you get to point 2, Ross. Demeanour.
It was the last thing that was said to me by Luke Morfess walking in. Demeanour. And as you know, post-game was a little bit harder.
Ross, I'm sorry. I can't. I've heard enough. Can we just have a look at your demeanour on occasion?
He thought he said demeaning.
Ross Lyon, ladies and
spelled it
gentlemen.
wrong?
Let's have a look at Ross's demeanour on occasion.
What is a litmus test? I don't know what it is. Did I say Harley Bennell was in the mix?
I thought you said Harley Bennell, but did you
No, I don't
say
think
Harley
I said
Bennell?
that.
Basically, the expression is it will show how good you're going or not.
Okay, yeah, no, it's a good litmus test. Harley Ballich.
Okay.
Yeah,
how far away is Harley?
Balic, Ballich.
Okay.
When did he go out injured? What round? Yeah, what round?
We're both confused now.
Yeah, no, I'm a bit confused.
Hey, was there one journo?
Is that the demeanour of a smart aleck?
Well, that was probably passive-aggressive, to be honest.
Was there one journalist who got under your skin more than the others?
No, I didn't really cut him out the herd. No, not really, not in particular. I didn't discriminate.
Okay. Hey, Ross.
So it really is about demeanour, if you can. But if you're doing 150 a year, why is it important? Because as Lewis Martin told me a long time ago, head of Channel 7 for Sport, we look for when the senior coach breaks. What have you got on Moldhouse and Clarkson or Hardwick or me? When you break.
Yeah. Number 3, Rossi, it's your interview. What do you mean by that?
Well, it is your interview, and when you're in form and you know what you're doing, regardless of the questions being asked, you're talking to your members and players and sponsors at all time. So no matter what the question is, you can get out the key message that when you're doing it well. And if you look at the senior coaches, they almost don't answer the question; they get the messaging out that they want.
Is that what you mean by feed the chooks? You want to actually...
No, that's a Joe Bjelke-Peterson from a long time ago. Like Luke Morfess, Ross, don't forget feed the chook. So it really is, when you're having a media press conference, and we call them as a club, even though it's ordained by the AFL, you need to give content. The journos need to walk out with a story. They've got to get back and get something up now online within a half an hour. So feed the chook.
This is a massive one for players, Ross. We win and lose together.
Yeah, and there's examples, and I've seen coaches or listened to coaches, and you know, they've hung some players out to dry and I think, well, that's not good. And then I watch how they go. So as a rule of thumb, a general rule of thumb, you win and lose together, not I win as a coach and then the players lose. The feedback I got at Fremantle in 16 or 17, I actually lightened up on that a little bit and I'd explain why a player was in the seconds and what he was working on. At the end of the year, you get reviews off your players and through the leadership group. And the strongest feedback was, Ross, you've hung some players out individually and exposed in the press what they're working on. You've never done it before. Please stop doing it. So it was really sharp feedback.
And Malcolm Blight, talking about win and lose together. Who will forget this one? Pathetic Pittman, Malcolm Blight.
To start like that means you won't win, particularly with a pathetic effort from Pittman in ruck. I mean, it was the most disgraceful display I've ever seen from a big fella. And that's pretty hard on an individual, but he's going to have to live with that because we got carried away as a team.
And he played in the next week, Ross.
Well, sometimes it's strategic. Yeah. That's a considered clip. We're going to change the culture of this club, and they went